Okay, some Diablo 4 content, and this is triple imbue rogue with shadow clone, sigil 61, and these are dungeon modes as you see. And we're gonna use armor pot, and we're gonna clear and then talk about the build. What? Okay, we have to wait poison, and this is extremely good content, right? Waiting poison on the ground. You're gonna spend all your imbues and then reset with shadow clone. So shadow clone also mimics your imbuements. We're gonna talk about it later. And this poison on the ground doesn't help us. As you see, shadow clone spreads stuff. We are not taking to the shrine. I think only boss left. You swap inner side, open with shadow step. Voila. And so let's talk about skill tree first. And most important stuff, we don't have basic attacks. Barrage with easy vuln application. I think Barrage is probably the best rogue build, rogue skill in the game, in my honest opinion, with twisting blades. Easy vuln application, you don't need Lust Trapper, it has good AoE, it has awesome single target, blah blah blah, goes on. 2 points in sturdy, 2 points in siphoning strike. You are most of the time melee to get most out of it. Your ricochets and barrage playstyle, and I put 2 points in here because the more damage reduction from close enemies you have, these stats lose its value, in my honest opinion. 2 points into siphoning strike, you still again melee, and you pair siphoning strikes with life on kill on the helm. And let's continue. And of course, I mean these three. I'm gonna talk about 3 points later. Dash, sorry, shadow step, and you see the shadow step has 100% lucky hit chance. If you use Mangler's aspect, this is pretty important. You don't need to take stun. Whenever you use shadow step, you will daze mobs 90% of the time, but you still need disciplined shadow step because you are using Pentient. You don't have Ravager's aspect. This is your escape card whenever you get crowd control, right? Again, weapon mastery max. These are 3 points, exploit malice max, precision imbuement max, 1 point for the sustain, 1 point in here, 1 point in here, cold imbuement and mixed cold imbuement, frigid finesse, shadow clone, intervention, 3 points in my opinion, and adrenaline rush, haste, and precision. And let's talk about your specialization is preparation while clearing, inner sight after boss, but you can start with shadow clone, imbuements, reset, take return back to inner sight. I don't think it's necessary. I mean this is 61 and this boss is extremely tanky. Any other boss will die in 5 seconds, maybe less, maybe 7 seconds at best. So you have insane single target damage, just swap inner sight versus boss. And I'm gonna talk about your 3 points. Let's start with this. Your lucky hit chance is 15%. This doesn't proc a lot, but this helps with your sustain. This helps with your sustain. In my opinion, with 3 for Umbral, you don't need these 3 points, you don't need this 1 point, you don't need these 3 points. These are for generally movement speed and quality of life. Your dark shards are not super consistent 80% of the time, in my honest opinion, but these 3 points are worth. But you can swap these 3 points to agile. I like agile a lot because you spam so many cooldowns. It gets 12% dodge. You have around 800 dexterity, let's say. It's 20% dodge out of nowhere. It's still super good in my opinion to add extra. These 3 and these stutter step points are free. You can experiment however you like. You can put more points into shadow imbuement. I don't recommend it. You can put 1 here. I don't recommend it. You can get debilitating toxin. I don't recommend it. But you can play around. You can get second wind, but you don't have so many lucky hit procs like exposures, like manglers and such. So you have 6 or 7 free points. You can experiment however you like. There is another version of this build. You can play with caltrops actually, but caltrops is super clunky. It's activates your control glyph super fast. It's versus rares, and it's awesome, extremely good, but it's clunky. You can also play pure trapper. You can respec all these points, get trap mastery here, that trap these, like these two, and you want to get debilitating toxins in that case. And for paragon board, you cut some points and get deadly ambush board like this. For trapper version, you want to get spring loaded. That's the most important stuff. No, like this. You if you play trapper version of this build instead of shadow clone, you get this, and you get this. And you may ask why I don't have even with this shadow clone. Why I don't have no witness board, right? No witness board. One, it's trash. Like these are like who cares? Who cares number 4? Who cares number 5? Who cares number 6? Maybe the ruin is decently good, and uh, for the what a placement of no witness is really bad. I mean, like you can rotate it to get in here, and it's way too much point to take, and you can't get glyph socket, and you have very much important paragons on the tree. And let's talk about paragon tree. I'm gonna post it. You start with combat, buff it a bit, and your second board is infusion. Of course, when you start this build, this infusion board, this is no exploit weakness board. This is gonna be exploit, and this is gonna be combat. And you see the notes I take exploit weakness. You want to take exploit weakness because you hit a lot with barrage, so you can stack this more damage multiplier with this build. And I want to talk about one thing about paragon board. In general rule, get the useful notes, get the more damage multiplier notes like wound, like damage to crowd control, critical strike damage, wound, and get these damage multipliers, these X% multipliers, and get the fuck out of the tree as soon as possible. That's the general rule of the paragon board. And try to get 4th and 5th board. The secondary stats you don't care, like 100 more armor, nobody cares. I can get armor from here, and other nodes you have armor like here, and like nobody cares, right? So your 5th board should be the least important board. Like the final board, you take the glyph and get the fuck out, right? And infusion is insane. You have 3 imbuements, and this 145% imbued skill damage is actually generic damage for you, because whenever you press your imbue, you get 100%, 145% damage bonus from here. So you don't need to get more core and close damage enemies perks and such. So this is insane. Also reduce your cooldowns of imbuements. Reducing cooldown of imbuements means your playstyle is buttery smooth. Your shadow clone also does more damage via this imitated imbuement. I mean, this is insane. Like, this is insane. This is insane. Let's continue. And you get exploit weakness board, infusion, and here your control. This is extremely good damage boost, and you freeze enemies with cold imbue. Your shadow clone also freeze enemies for you, chill enemies for you. You have Pentient Greaves boots. So this is probably one of the best glyphs in the game, if you can get maximum out of it. And you calculate it, oppress. This part, if you don't want to take it, remove it. But I really like it, because elites means bosses, elites means patcher. I mean, it's really adds defensive perk to the build. And this board is cheap shot. You want to take cheap shot 100%, 25% more damage multiplier, activated most of the time, 95% of the time. And your 4th board is Tricks of the Trade. You don't have basic attack, so you don't take this. You can't activate this, you don't want to use shadow step, etc. blah blah. And your fourth mode is ranger, and you boost ranger a bit here with dexterity nodes. If you don't want, just remove these points. They are 6 point marksman damage, like actually no one cares in my honest opinion. And you get this, you get brawler, you get focused, and you get the fuck out of 3. And your final board is cunning stratagem. You just get lawless. Sadly, I can't get another 100 armor from this. And you get finisher, and your final glyph is exploit. Like I said, when you start the game, get the exploit in second board. Your fifth board should be, in my honest opinion, control is the last, or probably you want to take control in the last. I'm gonna put link in the description so you can experiment a bit. Maybe petting is not that good, you want another node, like maybe you don't want hunter killer, you can swap this, you can remove this. Maybe you want to play trapper, get deadly ambush like this. You get 2 traps, get spring loaded. Where is spring loaded? Here, right? You need to take this if you play traps. 100% that trap poison trap. You want to get deadly ambush. Maybe you don't want to, but you activate here and you play with 6 board ambush. And let's talk about gear. Helm, cooldown reduction, total armor, life is mandatory stats. Don't get shadow imbuement. It doesn't do anything for you because you are physical build. You don't take Eldritch Bounty board. Stay away from Eldritch Bounty board. It's trash. You are not elemental build. You are not a poison build. Eldritch Bounty board boosts elemental and poison build. It doesn't do jack shit for you. So shadow imbuement is for AoE. This is for single target. This is for single target generally. So fourth stats is either life or kill, or you want all stats, intelligence, strength, etc. And chess piece, one thing I want, and you have cheats here. Cheat is the best defensive stats with disobedience you can get for this build. In my honest opinion, it's insane. And this is the chest. I mean, I want to talk about one thing. You don't have basic attack. It means you lost to aspect of the might. It's 20% generic damage reduction. You want at least 2 items with generic damage reduction. I have one here. I have 2, second one here. Generic damage reduction. Also you can get here, maybe third, right? And this is purely defensive chest. Damage reduction from distant, damage reduction from close, damage reduction from poison, and generic damage reduction. By the way, you want to get at least one item with damage reduction from distant, because this circle is close range, but out of here is distant. And even you are 80% of the time you are in melee range, you 20% of the time you take a lot of damage from distant and you don't even realize it. And many people talk shit about it, but I highly suggest one piece with damage reduction from distant. Damage reduction from poison is not that important. Maybe getting armor or HP is a lot better here. And this is the glove you want. And Ambrose here, I mean, every marksman skill, marksman users, range users use it. Is average shroud is 8% damage reduction and 4% movement speed for you. You can keep it pretty okay-ish, I say, like not 90% of the time, but you can keep 2 or 3 dark shroud most of the time. And this is the imitated imbuement. You want it here because your shadow clone mimics your imbuement, and whenever you cast imbuement, your shadow clone activates that imbuement. It spreads more shadow procs, shadow AoE procs. It spreads more freezes, more chills. I mean, this is the last piece you want to get. You can get manglers here, but this is insane. And 4 stats you want: critical strike, imbued, crit chance, barrage, attack speed. And what else you can get is manglers. If you don't have this, you can get manglers. You can get chest like this, total armor, damage reduction from close, life, damage reduction from distant enemies. This is also extremely good. Chest and pants, you want first imbuement cooldown reduction, but if you run extremely hard map like let's say 70s, you can play 70s by the way with this build pretty comfortably, and you wanna swap chest like pants like this, total armor, damage reduction from distance, damage reduction from close, damage reduction, all the stats, and you wanna get protector here. You can get creative here if you want something else. Get this is the least important aspect for you in my honest opinion, but I'm currently liking it. And these are the stats: imbuement skill cooldown reduction, life, damage reduction from close, total armor. So you get the idea. Defensive stats plus imbuement skill cooldown reduction. Pantheons, movement speed, high crowd control duration, and damage multiplier. It activates your control glyph super fast. It activates cheap shot super fast. It activates your cheat proc super fast. It activates damage to crowd control enemies super fast. This is best in slot. I hope you find it. I have around 10 of them, but I have two 100 rogues. I'm rogue main, so you have to get this. If you don't have this, and get something like this: movement speed, energy cost reduction, ranks to dash is not so important, intelligence stats, damage reduction while injured, and remove control glyph because you don't control stuff. You don't crowd control stuff a lot. Remove this board maybe, or remove just control and get chip. Chip is the another chip or turf if you don't have Pantheon, in my opinion. And move on. You want high item power crossbow, wound, crit damage with imbued skills. I can't stress how strong crit damage with imbued skill stats. I mean, like here I have around 400 critical strike damage, but I think this is with precision up, right? It shouldn't be that high. Yeah, I have 360, I guess, critical strike damage, but you have precision stacks 90% of 80% of the time, so this is pretty accurate. This stat, whenever you activate this, you get this multiplier, and this is additive multiplier over this, so you have around 600 critical strike damage. Whenever you press your imbue, you have 600 critical strike damage multiplied. It's insane. So let's talk about later on. Again, you want high item power crossbow, wound, critical strike damage with imbue, critical strike damage. 4 stats should be dexterity, but I couldn't get it, so whatever. I mean, like, if you can't get critical strike with imbued, close is good, dex all stats combo is good. You want edge masters here, so let's move on. Amulet, you want 3 stats because you don't have dash. In my honest opinion, 2 stats are pretty important: cooldown reduction, energy cost reduction. These are must. Other 2 stats is either quality of life, damage, or defense. Biggest quality of life is movement speed. I highly suggest getting movement speed. I had frigid finance here, but I re-rolled to movement speed because you wanna blast map fast. This is one of the best rogue mappers, dungeon runners, in my opinion. You wanna blast through the maps. You want to be moving fast. You want to be movement speed cap most of the time with your dark shot and stutter step. So I highly suggest getting movement speed. And 1 defensive stats, damage reduction, I have from here. Like I said, you don't have aspect of the mind. This is pretty important. And this is perfect ring, perfect 4 stat ring: crit, wound, crit with imbued, crit chance, and umbral. Again, 4 stat perfect ring. By the way, my gear is solo self-fund. I didn't trade, I didn't boost anyone, I don't do that kind of stuff. I just play the game, I just blast nightmare dungeons and get items if I can. If I can't, whatever works. Like, it doesn't need to be perfect. Every stats, I don't care a lot. And you get umbral here, revenues here. If you don't have umbral, by the way, I find Umbral way too long. My first 100 rock found first Umbral when she was level 95, but you can get away without Umbral, and what you can get is remove critical strike damage with imbued skills or one damage. You need crit chance. Yeah, crit chance is interchangeable. Swap one stat with like, where is that? Resource generation. Get two rings with resource generation, revenues, and uh, what is this? Intervention on the tree should be enough to sustain energy. So these are the four stats you are looking for. If you find something like this, crit, wound, life, crit damage, you can use this. As you see, this is my from another rock. And these crit chance, crit damage, life, critical strike damage with imbued skills. It lacks wound, but no one cares. You have 400 wound, right? This, like this. And these are statistics. Anything above 725 works. Crit damage with imbued, wound, all stats, or dex. One has all stats, one has dex. If you can't find it, wound, crit imbue, critical strike damage, all stats, crit wound, core, close, crit wound, daze, close enemies. Daze doesn't work with this build. And let's talk about the stats. As you see, crit chance is around 40%. With precision, it's gonna be a lot higher. With and the precision imbuement, your crit damage is 400, and this is crit with imbued. Like I said, whenever you press imbue, you get crit multiplier. Wound 400, damage versus elites, damage versus crowd controlled, damage versus shield frozen, damage versus close. As you see, my close damage is really low, but like I said, you don't care. Damage versus crowd control is high, crit multi, and wound is high. So this is pretty meh stat for you. This is okay stat for you. Maximum damage with imbued. Like I said, whenever you imbue, you get this additive damage bonus. These are multipliers. This is additive. So whatever, I have like 10k life. Without pot, I have 7.6k armor, I'd say, and you still want disobedience on your necklace because you're rogue. Don't like there's a world you put disobedience here and ravagers here, and you get 2 shadow step, 2 unstoppable here, and move around faster. If you don't farm plus 65s 60s, you can get disobedience here and ravagers here. Just keep in mind that. And my generic damage reduction is 16. Damage reduction from elites 21. Damage reduction from vulnerable 13. Damage reduction from close. Damage reduction from distance, poisoned, and energy cost. So that's the build for you. As you see, it's buttery smooth, plays so fast, relatively tanky, especially for a rogue. And if you have traps, you are more tanky than this. You have more CC, but as you see, like 61 plays fast, no risk of dying, super smooth playstyle, like imbue, like spam shadow clone, reset your imbues. Again, your shadow clone, as you see, has more damage whenever you cast imbue, and it spreads your stuff. Like this is really good build. I mean, this is the best rogue build I played, and I played every fucking rogue build. Not that I made this build. Like, it's so easy to play, it's so fast, it's so smooth. I highly suggest you to try this, and let's talk about another video. Cheers.